Welcome back, Geordies. It's Adam from Two for Joy with my instant match reaction to the defeat to Man City. The FA Cup run is over. And I'll be quite honest, before I start, and we'll go through the game and touch on key topics in this match. The first thing I want to talk about is managers. Managers in the Premier League. Now, Pep Guardiola is one of the most esteemed managers in the Premier League, right? And what I don't get is all of these Big Six clubs and the Big Six fan bases, they all turn around and say, there's no rivalry. There's no rivalry when we play Newcastle. They're not a patch on us. They're not anywhere near the level we are. You know, we don't even consider them to be a rival. But you all get so fucking wound up. They all get so petulant when they come to St James's. They all act like they're fucking 10 years old. And I'm like, there's a foul made in the middle of the park. Pep Guardiola loses his shit, gets a booking, continues to rant for about 10 minutes, and then starts shouting to the Newcastle fans when Marmoush puts in the third, I'm so sorry, smiling. You're the manager of the financially biggest football club in the Premier League. You've got the most in-depth squad. You've won the most trophies in the last 10 years. And you act like you're fucking 10 years old, mate. Get a fucking grip. Genuinely, get a grip. You got Kolo Touré sat next to you arguing with Joel Linton, who sat as a sub. And he's getting booked for arguing with a substitute. Head loss. Absolute fucking head loss. But, on to the game. And I will say, Newcastle didn't deserve to win tonight. I thought we started really well that first 25 minutes. The refereeing was once again absolutely appalling tonight. Absolutely terrible. Sam Barrett, it's a real shame, mate, because as referees go, you're one that likes to keep his cards in his pocket. But Johan Wissa, first foul, yellow card. Joel Linton, first foul, yellow card. Statistically, Man City made 18 fouls tonight. Newcastle made 9. Double the number of fouls for Man City. Not a single City player booked. Absolutely ridiculous. And some of them, like Phil Foden jumping into the back of Malik Chow, or Joel Linton even, it's ridiculous. As soon as Joel Linton's booked, everybody's just niggle trying to get that second yellow. They are as shithouse as it comes. But Nico Gonzalez, 7 minutes in, and I got to say this, free kick given to Lewis Hall. Nico Gonzalez pounds that ball halfway across the pitch after seeing the referee blow the whistle, after hearing the whistle, with the referee stood right in front of him. Once again, no yellow card. It's abhorrent. I pointed this out in game weeks previous. It's absolutely awful. 17 minutes in though, Sandro Tonali with a fantastic through ball for Harvey Barnes down the left, and Barnes cuts in. He takes this really well, great finish, puts it in the top corner, and it's a fantastic start. And this is where Newcastle really need to show some composure. And this is the key word for tonight, is composure. In that first 20 minutes, we put a foot on the ball. We played out. We challenged City. We went man for man and we said, right, okay, we can handle you man for man. And City didn't know what to do with us. Anthony Elanga running at defenders. Will Asula charging in behind. Harvey Barnes coming down the left. They did not know what to do with that press. They did not know how to break out. And we looked dominant, absolutely dominant. And I know most people say you can't press like that for 90 minutes, and you can't. I 100% believe that. But Newcastle need to show some composure. And the way to beat City is to be brave on the ball. And you have to take a man on now and again, or just try and keep the ball and play through their press. It's the only way to do it. And I have to say, the first half, Lewis Hall, Sandro Tonali, absolutely fantastic. But as soon as that goal went in, Newcastle sit back and soak up the pressure, and we've done this all too many times this season. In previous seasons, we'd have pushed on, kept going, put the pressure on, like we did with Man United, even down to 10 men, put the pressure on. But tonight we sat back and tried to soak up that pressure. You cannot do that against Manchester City. And sure enough, 38 minutes in, Savinho Doku down the left-hand side, smashes the ball across the 6-yard box. It's really unlucky that Lewis Hall misses the clearance. And Savinho stood at the back stick. It just hits him and bobbles into the goal. And I'll be honest, when I looked at the first half, this really annoyed me from the refereeing point of view. There were 3 VAR checks for possible penalties against Newcastle in the first half. Every one of them, you could see from the moment the incident happened, it's definitely not a penalty. But being Man City, VAR are all over it. All over it. Where were VAR when Jacob Ramsey got booked against Man United for that second yellow midweek? That's all I'm saying. And then, like I say, on to the second half. Marmoush, carbon copy of the first goal, comes down one side, ball smashed across, low in the 6-yard box. Exactly the same thing. It's just the fullbacks, if you push Man City down the byline, they will always whip that ball straight across the 6-yard box as hard as they can and hope that it either deflects in or they've got a guy stood there to tap in. And sure enough, Marmoush is stood there for the tap in. And at this point, it's tough enough to get back into the game. But we made a couple of opportunities and we just weren't clinical. I mean, Sandro Tonali from a free kick, he whips a sublime ball into the box. The City defence chase back towards it, clear the ball out. It drops to Joe Willock and he's in acres of room about 10 yards out. And he just, this is it, no composure. He just tries to hit that ball as hard as he can and blazes it over the bar. On another day, we'd take some of these opportunities. In better form, we'd probably take these opportunities. But sure enough, it's one of those nights. I can't be annoyed with the display. I think the lineup, I was a bit questionable about the lineup. Nick Voltemade coming back in. A few changes. I think obviously Eddie's trying to rest players for Barcelona midweek. And I know a lot of people will say there's probably a bigger chance of us making Europe playing in the FA Cup. But financially, it is much more beneficial for us to go further in the Champions League. Now, Barcelona at home this midweek it's a tall ask at best. And we've not been in a good run of form. It's a who knows 50-50 under the lights at St James's. It depends whether we turn up or not. But what I will say is Tino Livramento coming back on. It's positive signs to see Tino back. Newcastle have played their best football when we've had Tino and Hall as fullbacks. And I really hope that we can see Tino Livramento get a sustained run of minutes under his belt before the end of the season and kind of push on. And I'd like to see Newcastle back to the way we played against Manchester United come midweek against Barcelona. I want to see that midfield 3 back. I don't want to see Nick Voltemade playing as an 8. I felt he had an underwhelming game, but obviously, like I keep saying, he is not a midfielder. I don't care how many times we do it. It's the same thing as when we saw Sandro Tonali being pushed into right back as cover. It just doesn't work. You've got to have versatile players for these sort of covering roles. Now, Lewis Miley might be able to do that. Lewis Miley might be able to play as an attacking midfielder, defensive midfielder, right back. But that's not Nick Voltemade's game. I don't think he's athletically capable of being a box-to-box player. I don't think he's physically capable at the moment of getting stuck into those challenges in the way that maybe a Joel Linton or even a Joe Willock or a Sandro Tonali would. But what I would say overall, the takeaway from this is we have to start putting pressure on towards the end of the season with either our Champions League form or our Premier League form. Something has to give and pick up, because we are very close to being on the outside of finishing outside of all of these competitions, finishing with no Europe and leaving ourselves in a position where certain players will want big moves if we don't finish in a European position. But like I say, let me know in the comments what you guys thought of tonight's performance. Keep our heads up, move on to the next one, and hopefully, guys, I will see you soon.